Welcome back. Now for what's trending in true crime. A Miami nurse is speaking out for the first time, claiming that she was raped by one of the Alexander brothers, who are charged, you may recall, in a sweeping sex trafficking case. According to ABC News, Maria Suska told Miami Beach police that she was raped by Oren Alexander in 2014 at a private party at the Versace mansion. These are some photos taken from her Facebook page, and you'll recall Oren and two of his brothers are facing federal charges of conspiracy and forced sex trafficking. They've all pleaded not guilty and deny the allegations. Suska spoke to ABC News very openly about this. Let's take a listen to some of what she said.
First, I told him to calm down. He didn't. He started to strip my top off. I said stop, and I started angrily yelling louder. The more I said stop, the more he got violent with me.
This is bad. This is as bad as it gets. Now, she did make a police report in 2023. She is not involved in any of the civil suits brought against these guys, nor is she listed as a victim on any criminal case because, remember, I told you the date, 2014, the statute of limitations has expired. So no criminal case involvement, no civil case or money being sought. Remember, civil is always money. But we're wondering, could her story, could her allegations of rape against Oren Alexander still come into the criminal case, even though she's not listed as a victim on the indictment? Let's talk about it. I want to bring back in former prosecutor Melba Pearson. She's also the director of prosecution projects at Florida International University, and want to welcome into the conversation entertainment reporter Kinsey Schofield. Great to have you both on this. I know you both have been following this case since we learned the news of these brothers being charged. Melba, to you and the legal question, please, of might these prosecutors try to incorporate what this woman is alleging into the instant case?
Yeah, absolutely. If I was the prosecutor on this case, I would be trying to bring her in as part of prior bad acts. So there's an exception to the hearsay rule, meaning that out of court statements can't come in. But if you're trying to show motive or common plan or scheme, basically modus operandi, like this is a pattern, this wasn't a one-off accident, whatever the case may be, that could be a way that her testimony could get into the trial. It kind of helps in some ways shore up the prosecution, especially if any of the other survivors may have, fumbled on their testimony or something like that. Because remember, this is something incredibly traumatic to survive a sexual assault. So, when you have to talk about the worst day of your life potentially in front of a courtroom full of strangers, the pressure's on, and that can be difficult. So I think kind of having her and other survivors that may have not been able to meet the statute of limitations, have them come in and bring their testimony, I think would really strengthen the prosecutor's case.
Yeah, most definitely. Melba, thank you, for that explainer, and for anybody wondering, there is a way for this accuser to potentially get some justice if what she's saying is true. These guys have a very serious case being brought against him that's pending right now that you both know of. Kinsey, let me go to you, please. What is the talk in the true crime community about these brothers and about these allegations? And how does Maria Suska's allegations, how do they kind of fit into the overall narrative being alleged, please?
Absolutely. Julie, when we originally heard about this story, I think we predicted right here on this program that a lot of those stories that were circulating online would inevitably end up in the public space, and that there would be more accusers coming forward based on the chatter happening on Reddit, people talking about interacting with these gentlemen in the past. When it comes to this particular story, I'm so glad that you brought up that she did file a police report, because that is one of the things she's been criticized for online in the comment section of some of the publications that have talked about this. Why didn't she speak up? Well, the fact is she did. She did speak up at the time. And, out of 1,000 sexual assaults, 995 perpetrators will walk free. Only 310 out of every 1,000 sexual assaults are even reported to police. That means 2 out of 3 go unreported, and testimonials like Maria's will inspire more women to speak out and defend themselves. And perhaps that was her ultimate objective here. Yes, I'm sure that she would like to see these particular brothers seen justice, but at the same time, I think she's speaking out for victims everywhere that felt silence or too afraid to speak out and defend themselves.
Really appreciate that point. Kinsey, thank you so much for that. Maria Suska told ABC News that she was shocked when she saw Oren Alexander on the news. Let's take a look at that moment.
I was shocked at first because I said, I remember him. This is the guy. This is my attacker. All this time I thought I'm the only one that this happened to.
Now, she told ABC News she's not interested in getting any money out of this. We know these guys have had multiple lawsuits brought against them. Important to note, she's not one of those people looking for money. So we're asking, what does she have to gain by reporting this, by sharing her story, which is something that is so horrible and so traumatic? What does she have to gain? Melba, your thoughts, please.
Well, I agree with Kinsey that this was an opportunity for her to be heard and for her to be able to tell her story and empower other survivors. And so I think that part was critical. And also that could be a huge part of her healing as a sexual assault survivor, just to be able to tell her story and be heard, and just, people understanding like, hey, I'm coming forward. I'm not hiding my face or my name or anything like that. I'm not doing this for money. I don't have a stake in the criminal case per se, as in you're a listed victim in the criminal case. So I just think she wants to be heard, and she wants to empower others, and she just wants to tell her story so that, I guess in a way, that takes away any doubt in terms of the kind of people the Alexander brothers are.
Right. Yeah, you're so right, Melba. There's power in telling that story. You and Kinsey, you know this well. I mean, especially for trauma survivors, when you bring forward something, rape, a crime of violence, and most often a crime of secrecy, and when you bring it forward, you take that power away from your abuser. And so that could be the place that she's coming from. I know that she did tell ABC News that she's been in post-sex assault trauma therapy for quite some time, which is not hard to believe if what she's saying is true. Kinsey, your thoughts on what might she be getting out of this? What might this be doing for her if she's not getting any money and she's, got something, very traumatic that she's now sharing with the world?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine how hard it is to tell this to not just cameras, but and knowing that your parents are going to see this or your family members are going to see this. You've got to be a very brave individual. But I also wonder if there's any sort of special feeling about being a part of this cultural shift that I feel like we're saying. There's this famous quote, there's one law for the rich and there's one for the rest of us. And it does feel like there's a shift when you look at people like Harvey Weinstein or Diddy behind bars. There's this new sense of confidence that perhaps we're inching closer to equality for all when it comes to justice. When you do see some of these huge personalities or rich individuals actually have to face consequences, and perhaps she realized, you know what, I want to be a part of this story.
Mm-hmm. Right. I like that you said that, Kinsey, because we know that Oren has denied the allegations. His attorney is saying this didn't happen, and the attorney brings up the fact that upon leaving the Versace mansion, she would walk out onto Ocean Drive, and there were a lot of cops in the area at the time, always are. And she questioned, well, why didn't she go ahead and report that, then and there? And maybe there's also a question of feeling powerless. If this was true and she's dealing with these guys that have so much money, so much influence, they're so connected. Like you said, with other defendants, we've seen that in other cases that we've covered together. So that's a great point.